Right now, you go buy a new one because it costs less money to buy a new appliance or a new whatever, a new iPhone than pay somebody to fix it. So my dad was always the fix person in the house. He made our own bookshelves. He always opened the radio up and fixed things. So watching him growing up, I like to open things up and see what's inside. So this is what one dynamic show looks like. You know what it sounds like, now you know what it looks like. After I opened it up, I was really interested in those curls that naturally just appear on the bottom of each string. And I was playing with this cassette tape, see how delicate and almost soft. And when you play with one, it almost can't feel the weight. And also it's a little bit cool temperature, the room temperature, and also reflects lights. There are so many things that I discovered after I opened the first cassette tape. So of course I opened up more. I put a little bit to IKEA brackets on the wall, and I have a couple rows of them, and I just pull one string, pull it down all the way to the floor. And that little group of cassette tapes almost exaggerated what I found for just one. So the more strings it has, the more it will reflect the light. And when there's a gentle air movement in the building, because we have AC or HVAC, those things, it kind of slowly moved the cassette tape. It's almost like it became like a live creature. It's not just an object that I feel it's not okay to touch anymore. So for our first year show, I had a lot of them suspended from the ceiling, and I just pulled one by one all the way to the floor. I did not cut the bottom. I just let them hang there. So this is what it looks like in the Katzen Museum. And this is one person trying to walk through. And he got stuck. Yes.
I'm going to rescue a few people from that.
Here comes Louis, saving the person.
So brave.
After that, he told me he regretted saving that person. He should let him struggle in the piece for hours. Maybe he'll just stay there. So after the show came down, I had to cut the ends. It's there's no way I can rewind every piece back. I had a weird friend, came to my studio, had a great time rolling around in my piece. Hi, welcome.
Good evening. Hi,
Good evening.
Review here. There we go.
So from her playing in my studio, I felt like this need to make the pieces more playful, more inviting to people. So I made this one at the Vermont Studio Center. I call it A Beautiful Mess. So I got rid of the cassette tapes, the actual tapes on the top. I used a lot of wire to make this almost like Chinese landscape looking, I don't know what to call that thing, environment. And I have just a sea of cassette tape on the floor. I invite people to come in, shoes on, shoes off, I don't care, come and roll around on the floor. And people really had a great time. Vermont Studio Center. They have great food, by the way. I've been there. And also the director, John, he hates trays. He hates the tray. So every time when I go there, the first week, when he give a talk about meditation and art and time and how he hates trays. So every time when I go to cafeteria, I just have his voice in my brain, I cannot use trays. I was I have 2 plates, a salad, entree, 2 juices, no trays, can't have trays. That's a side note. So when I was also at Vermont Studio Center, they have a kitchen. So this is a wall this way, and you go around the corner. That's the kitchen when they serve you really delicious food. So I don't know, it was a staff or an artist. He or she said, let's display some works on this empty white wall. And I think that person put out a note inviting people to submit artworks for that wall. And there was only one parameter. has to be small because you can't have your entire, like you can't have that piece taking up the entire wall so nobody can put their stuff on it. I was like, okay, small, I can't do this. So I put a really tiny thing on the wall. It's about the size of your, I don't know, this big. I had layers of paint I was cutting, so I was like, oh, I can cut a square. You know, I didn't really think about what does the square mean, what those colors mean. I just thought, you want a small, I can deliver. So I put it out there. And I started calling this piece right here, right now. So when it travels to different places, I think for this piece for me is about like having a small, like physical, it takes a small physical space, but it has like a bigger presence. Because when you have like a wall of, you know, this size or bigger works, when you have a tiny piece, it actually attracts more attention. So for me, this is like this little guy on the wall announcing, I'm right here right now. And the most recent, that work was in the Touchstone Gallery, and they had used a leveler to make sure everything, doesn't matter the size, it gotta be level, gotta level them all. And then I was making more layers. This is, I go to IKEA a lot. So this is like IKEA, I got this giant mirror, not giant, maybe big, this wide, maybe that long. I got it as is section, so I just want like a glass surface. So I got this mirror from IKEA, and I started to do layering more paint on it and cutting it. So this is the only color I use for right here, right now. Because every time when I pour layers, like they have different purposes. I won't use this cutting for the right here, right now piece. So this is a completely different piece. It took me about, I don't know how long, many months to pour this many layers of paint. And so I have lots of little cubes. I don't know what to do with them. You know, I can't have them all by myself. So I thought, why don't I give them to people for free? So I started this work. It's called Art for the People Too, where I cut out I have some for you. So I have cut out those little cubes, and I put instructions on the cube, with the cube. I asked people to peel the double-sided tape on the side, install it, take a picture, and send a picture back to me. So this was the first generation packaging. I went through several ways of how do I make this message clear to people, what I'm asking them to do. So I have thousands of those. And I asked people to put them, take the pictures back to me, and I display them on my website. So you can see, this is just like, I have like maybe 350 or 400 pictures so far. So people, they put their on their faces, on their dogs' faces, on their cat's paws, because cats won't let you put stuff on their faces. Cats, they're different than dogs. Or, they take them to the places they go to, next to their food. 2 people tattooed a little cube on their bodies. And it just, so for me, this piece is about, I call it Art for the People Too. It's after Xu Bing's Art for the People Too. So if you look carefully, it's not Chinese. It looks like Chinese, but it's English. So you can hear, so this letter A, R, T. And you can see F-O-R, the people. And even his name, that's not how you write Xu Bing in Chinese. That's just X-U-X-B-I-N, just how you spell it. So he said Art for the People Too. He said he was making art for people. I call that bullshit, because your work is in the gallery. Nobody can afford it. I don't see you give me something, I can look at it. I can look at other stuff. It doesn't mean I can afford to buy it. So I'm going to actually make art for the people. That's why I call it art for the people too, with that pronunciation of two. Could understand as T-W-O, like a better version of this, or T-O-O, like I'm also making art for the people, but I'm actually giving you actual physical little art. So in addition to giving you an actual physical object, it's also about almost like giving you an assignment. Like I'm an educator, like I constantly want to teach people little stuff. So for me, art making is decision making. You're constantly thinking about what do I want and how do I do whatever I do to get there. So for me, when I give people that little thing, I'm also asking them, what do you want to do with this? And how are you you make your picture different from other people's picture, because you put that thing on your dog's nose. How's that different from somebody else also put the same thing on their dog's nose? So, so this is me of actually giving people a piece of art and also like making them thinking about decision making even for a minute or 2 minutes. But there's also people telling me like, oh, I still have that thing from years ago, I still don't know what to do with it. I'm like, keep thinking, it's all good. So after I went to Vermont Student Center, I went to visit my college math professor. Believe it or not, I came to America 10 years ago to study math and physics because I love math and physics. Like, not because I'm Asian, I'll make it better than average Asians good at math. So I went to visit my math professor from college, and he said, I forgot, he has a farm, or his wife has a farm, or they live on a farm, something like that. So he got connection to haywire. He's like, I have lots of haywire, would you like to have them? Because I was telling him about the things I was making. And when he said the word haywire, this is the first image that came to my mind. I don't know, like, as you know, this is a TV show, Prison Break, and this character, his name is Haywire. So it's like, for when I say haywire to you, you immediately think about the actual wire that you bundle hay together. But for me, that's the image that first came into my mind. Because now I think about it, it's like when I came to this country when I was 17 years old, it's like this weird stage when my mind is 17 years old, but the language I was learning English is not the same as like a 17 years old high school American student. So for me, I learned haywire from that character first, and then I realized, oh, it's actually the hay to bundle, like the wire around the hay. So for me, it's like a different process of learning language, and so things have different meanings in my mind. So I got a lot of haywire, and I made this room. I painted the whole floor white and call it Gone Haywire. So the whole thing I used staples and haywire. And invite people to go in. But my original plan is to make this crazy room that you go in, you probably feel like you're in Saw movie, serious, so dangerous. But actually, after I made this, people told me, and I felt it too, like it's very calm and soothing experience to be in that room with also all sorts of things that's spiky, that's pointing at you. And after that, I was making this piece. It's called the alternative snip test, where I got those like wax melts. They're different colors, and I asked people to come sniff the colors, because you can see colors, but can you also sniff them? And that they're different. Here are a bunch of people sniffing in public. So when I look back, all those pieces that I made, I had one goal is I want adults to feel like they're kids again. I want adults to feel the permission to play in the setting that's as serious as a museum. Don't touch anything. If you touch it, you break it. But I was like telling people, hey, it's okay to play. It's okay to sniff the colors and touching the haywire. I think that aspect, I was really inspired by Felix Gonzalez Torres when I went to, I think I saw the piece first in the Chicago Contemporary Art Museum, somewhere in Chicago, before I knew anything about him. Just the whole act of taking candies from a museum and the guards don't chase after you just sounds crazy to me. And after I took the candy, I also took one of his prints. Like, I feel like I owed him something, even though this person's dead. And taking this candy, that's completely okay. But I feel like I'm more invested in his piece than maybe other paintings on the wall that I saw on the same day. So I want to constantly incorporate the action of having people play, having people actually touch and physically interact with the piece to build their own memories with my piece, compared to just looking at something like the painting I was making, paintings on the wall. I was making installations, and also I was still cutting pieces, pouring latex paint and cutting pieces. So I was cutting them to make those little cubes for giveaway. So this one actually is the leftover pieces from a whole tray of paint. I didn't know what to do with them. They're not like perfect little squares. I can't really use them for my Art for the People 2 project. So at that time, it's 2016. We all know what happened in 2016. Trump was running for president. So his whole promise to build a wall, and I said, fuck that, I'm gonna build a better wall than he can ever do. So I used my leftover little latex paint, and I just stacked them on canvas, and I titled it, hey, at Real Donald Trump, I'm also building a wall, and it's gonna be #fantastic. Latex on canvas. So after that one, I made this one. It's this very similar process. That's after he tweeted Kafefe, when he tried to say coverage or something, and he denied that he just had a fat thumb and I typed it wrong. So I made this piece and I titled it Wafefe because it doesn't mean anything, but it just word that we all can't make up. So when I was making, I was like, this is I'm really into this whole series. I'm making lots of more of those pieces. Every piece I make, I title it to reference the wall. I taught the first one is Wafefe, and I was thinking about bricks, the axis of stacking. This is the Frank Lloyd Wright brick. I studied architecture in undergraduate, so I'm really obsessed with bricks. So this one, I call it a leaky wall because I left the gaps in between each layers. And soon I ran out of ideas. I don't know how to name more pieces around the title of the name wall, but still make it interesting enough, right? So